So friends, good evening and welcome to this special edition of the Suno program on Indian culture and heritage. This is the we will go deeper into the subject, and therefore this particular session, because the ancient India is so diverse, so unique, and comprised of so many unique people, so many great people. And many of us have only heard about those people or those systems, probably at an early part of our life, very, very little. So therefore, we thought that to have a deeper understanding of the Indian cultural heritage, let's try to have a little bit a wider discussion on this particular subject. We are sure that it is going to be quite interesting, and if the tempo persists, success persisting, possibly we will try to have one or two more rounds of the Indian culture and heritage on the different aspects of the same. So today we have also defined the specific topics for the different people. So may I invite the first speaker of the day, Mr. Anand Saxena, to please come and share his thoughts on the great Indian scientist Aryabhatta. Anand Saxena ji, the floor is open to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sengupta sir. सबकी सुनो प्रोग्राम में एक बार फिर मेरी आवाज सुनने का मौका देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Good evening to all of you. My topic is about mathematicians, particularly Aryabhatta. When we talk about mathematicians and look at our daily life, we find math is a huge part of it. Our life would be incomplete without mathematics. From cutting equal slices of cake to measuring weights, heights, distances, maths is involved in everything. There is a long list of mathematicians who were born in India. For example, Aryabhatta, Bhaskara, Brahmagupta, Srinivas Ramanujan, Satyendranath Bose, C.K. Rao, etc. There were two renowned mathematicians with the same name, that is Aryabhatta. The elder one is Aryabhatta, who was born in 476 AD in Patliputra, now it is Patna. And the other one, a mathematician of the same name, Aryabhatta, he was born in 10th century. So today I will talk about the Aryabhatta elder, the elder. Aryabhatta the elder one, he was extraordinary teacher and scholar who had immense knowledge of mathematics and astronomy. Astronomy is very much related to mathematics. So once he was doing work on mathematics, he did a lot of work on astronomy also. He suggested that heliocentric theory, which proved that the sun is located in the center of the solar system and all the planets revolve around it. In fact, he made this discovery long before the well-known Copernicus mathematician who was in the West and who made it afterwards. In fact, Aryabhatta discovered it in the first one. And his work is mentioned in two books, Aryabhatiya and Arya Siddhanta. Arya Siddhanta is lost somewhere, but Aryabhatiya consists of three parts. One is Ganit, that is mathematics, Kalkriya, that is calculation of time, and third is Gola. In Ganit, he gave the algorithm for obtaining square root and cube roots. In computer, these days, algorithm is plays an important role in computer science. After treating geometrical measurements, he gave the value of pi, that is 3.1416, and on that basis, he measured the circumference of the earth after taking the diameter into consideration. On the basis of that, he constructed tables of science, and thus his contribution to the mathematics is his work on trigonometry and algebra. you would have seen how we measure the weights on different planets. It's a very miracle. Most of you would have gone to Nehru Science Center and saw it. What will be your weight when you are in Moon, when you are in Mars, when you are in Jupiter? So you can see the weight. This is all because of astronomical calculations by Aryabhatta. Kalkariya, he turned to astronomy in particular, treating planetary motion along the ecliptic way. This topic included the definition of various units, time, eccentric, and epicyclic models of planetary motions. And in Gola, that is sphere, he applied plane trigonometry to spherical geometry by projecting points and lines on the surface of the sphere. It included prediction of solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, and an explicit statement that the apparent motion of the stars is due to spherical Earth's rotation about its axis. He also noted that the luminosity of Moon and other planets is due to reflected sunlight, and motion of stars is also due to Earth's rotation. Thus, the astronomical calculations and deductions, which are based on mathematics suggested by Aryabhatta, are extraordinary in nature. Though he did not have any modern equipment or instruments to do so, he had a very sharp brain, and his dedication and hard work led him to deduce that Earth is round in shape and rotates along its axis, which forms day and night. The Indian government named the first satellite as Aryabhatta in honor of Aryabhatta. The satellite was launched in 1975. Now, there's one more thing I want to tell about Ramanujan. Very small story, sir. I'll take 1 minute more. Arwal sir already written a post about Ramanujan number. And there's a story. He was a very good friend of Hardy. He was in Cambridge. And they always used to talk about numbers and everything. So once the Ramanujan, he fell ill, he was in the hospital. The Hardy came to the hospital to see him by a taxi. Hardy's nature was that always used to note on the number or just remember the number of the taxi. So when he met Ramanujan, when he told, I came by a taxi with a number 1729. It's a very unimportant number and very boring. You see the sharpness of Ramanujan. Immediately he said, no, it is very interesting number. It is the smallest number, which is a sum of 2 cubes. The one is 1 cube plus 12 cubes, equal to 729. And other one is 10 cube plus 9 cube. It comes to 1729. So such were the mathematicians of India who have the sharp brain and so much of presence of mind and everything. So we are proud of them. And this is the small thing. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Saxena ji. आपने आर्यभट्ट के ऊपर में बात किया, and the possibly he can be considered, for all practical purposes, the father of the not only the Indian science but maybe the father of the world science also. Particularly his discovery of pi, which you talked about, or particularly his heliocentric theory that all the planets are moving around the sun. And his concepts of the algorithm, algebra, trigonometry, and the geometry, all the things were fascinating. So we are proud to have a scientist like Aryabhatta, and I'm sure that the members who are interested, they may go deep into the life of the elder Aryabhatta to understand the enormous magnitude of the genius he was. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
May I request the second speaker of the day, Mr. N.K. Agarwal ji, and he is going to talk about completely other side of the Indian genius, and that is the greatest politician the world has ever produced, Chanakya.
Good evening, Dr. Sengupta. Good evening, Dr. Sengupta. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Good evening, everybody. And thanks to Dr. Sengupta and MRL, first to choose such an interesting topic, Indian culture and heritage, and then to give me an opportunity to talk on this subject. I like to talk about Chanakya, my thoughts about Chanakya, who is one of the greatest economists that India had ever produced. Chanakya was an ancient Indian polymath who was active as a teacher, author, strategist, philosopher, economist, jurist, and royal advisor. He is traditionally identified as Kautilya or Vishnugupta, who authored the ancient Indian political treatise, the Arthashastra, a text dated to roughly between the 4th century BCE and the 3rd century CE. As such, he is considered the pioneer of the field of political science and economics in India. Chanakya was born in Takshila in Pakistan in 375 BC. As per a legend, Chanakya was born with a full set of teeth. The monks prophesied that the baby would go on to become a power behind the throne. Chanakya had heard rumors of Dhananand being generous towards Brahmins. Seeking donation, he went to visit him. While waiting, he sat on his throne. A servant offered him a different seat, but Chanakya did not leave the throne. Angry, the servants kicked him out. Chanakya felt insulted. He knew of the prophecy the monks had made and plotted for his revenge. Chanakya's intelligence was the reason that he could create India's largest kingdom, the glorious Mauryan Empire. Acharya Chanakya guided Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Mauryan Empire, in overthrowing the Nanda king and also became the royal advisor of Chandragupta and his son Bindusar, but lived all by himself. Acharya Chanakya wrote the ancient Indian political treatise Arthashastra, which is much celebrated to this day, and the Chanakya Niti, which contains life lessons that help people from all walks of life at any given point when they face difficulty, be it any aspect, career, goal, friendship, family, emotions, you name it. Some of the important lessons from Acharya Chanakya Niti are: education is the best friend. Never share your secrets with anyone. Learn from mistakes of others. Debt is like an enemy. Do not try to change the people in your life. Time is insurmountable. Act tough whenever needed. Humbleness is the root of self-control. A man is not great by birth, but by his karma. Do not get excessively attached to any person. Grab every chance of learning something new, and so on. Chanakya was blessed with extreme intelligence and great intellect. He could make plans in such a way that he had several backups for every situation. He could think way ahead as compared to a normal person. After Chandragupta Maurya taking himself to an ascetic life, his son Bindusar succeeded to the throne. Chanakya continued to be the chief advisor for Bindusar. One of his ministers, who did not like Chanakya, created enmity between Chanakya and Bindusar. Chanakya did not like the behavior of Bindusar, whom he loved so much. Unable to bear this, Chanakya decided to give up food and die of starvation. Chanakya breathed his last in 283 BC in Patliputra. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agarwal साहब, आपने पूरा चाणक्य का स्टोरी बता दिया. He was really a fascinating person, one of the most fascinating person that the world has ever seen. Two things which you talked about are very, very important. That he was a great politician. He talked about life. He talked about its importance. He talked about various aspects of life. And the second thing is that is Arthashastra, which you talked about, Kautilya's Arthashastra. Possibly that remains the biggest and the most primitive aspect of the economic treatise. Today we talk about microeconomics. Today we talk about macroeconomics. But if you look at the combination of the microeconomics and the macroeconomics, everything can be seen into the Kautilya's Arthashastra. In a different manner, it may not be in a mathematical manner, but more in a practical manner, one can see the entire whatever we are taught today or we are teaching in the classroom today about the microeconomics and macroeconomics. Really, we are proud to be an Indian where a person like Chanakya lives. Thank you very much, Agarwal sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Now we shift to the other aspect where India was great, and that is the medical sciences, because there India had created some of the greatest people of the world. May I request Samata Sangupta to please come and talk about the ancient Indian medical system.
Namaste. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, madam.
Thank you. Thank you. Today, my topic is ancient medical gurus. Dhanvantari is the god of medicine, and he is mentioned in the Puranas as a physician to gods and god of Ayurveda. Today, I want to discuss about Charak, the father of Ayurveda, and Sushruth, the father of surgery and plastic surgery. The time period during which they have flourished is not known exactly, but historical records suggest that Charak flourished in the period from 100 BC to not beyond 150 to 200 BC, and Sushruth flourished between 600 BC to 501 BC. Charak was an expert in human anatomy, embryology, pharmacology, blood circulation, and diseases like diabetes and tuberculosis and cardiovascular diseases in that era. His book, Charaka Samhita, written in Sanskrit along with Sushruth Samhita, is one of the two foundational texts that has survived from ancient India. It is a treatise of all his medical expertise. The contents are divided into 120 chapters in 8 specific partitions. He studied the nature of many plants and animals, and his text summarizes our lifestyle and environment play a major role in our health and wellness. One should live in harmony with nature. According to him, anything and everything in the universe is composed of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The imbalance of these three creates disease in body. Prevention of all forms of ailments is more important than treatment. He suggested lifestyle restructuring should be in line with the rhythm of nature and the 6 seasons, which will ensure overall health. Now I will talk about the father of surgery and plastic surgery. He wrote Sushrata Samhita in Sanskrit. It is the main source of knowledge about surgeries in ancient India. It has got great historical importance because it includes chapters describing surgical training, instruments, and procedures which are still followed by modern science of medicine. The definition, 1 minute. The definition of an ideal surgeon, according to him, is a person who has courage and presence of mind, a hand free from perspiration, tremorless grip of sharp and good instruments, and who carries the operations to the success of and advantage of his patient, and who has surrendered his life to the surgeon. The surgeon should respect this absolute surrender of his patient and treat the patient as his own son. In his book, he deals with the surgical knowledge of complicated surgeries such as cesarean, cataract, artificial limb, fractures, urinary stones, and treatment of complications after surgeries. He described surgery under 8 heads and elaborate discussion of 160 types of upakarma for treatment of wounds and 120 surgical instruments and 300 surgical procedures. To Sushruth, health is not only a state of physical well-being, but also mental wellness, which can be maintained by humor, good nutrition, proper elimination of waste from the body and mind. For successful surgery, he included anesthesia using intoxicants such as wine and other drinks. His book, written on palm leaves, remained preserved for many centuries. In the 8th century AD, it was translated into Arabic and then later to Latin, German, and English. There is an elaborate discussion about this book in the article written by Vibhas Singh in Google. Cherak and Sushruth continue to remain pride of India even after so many centuries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for giving the elaborate, in a brief time, an elaborate life description of the two of the greatest medical pillars of the world, the Charaka and Shushruta. Now, if you look at the lives of two people, one thing's come very clear that whether we are talking about medicine or the surgery, the two aspects of the modern medicine, they really started, and the fountain stone was in India. Because can you imagine that we are talking about a 5000 BC, and can you imagine that we are talking about what you call anesthesia given by the wines, or anesthesia given by the anesthesia given like that, or we are talking about hundreds of types of the surgery, very complicated surgeries also, including the plastic surgery that emanated in India. And really, as Madam Samatha told, that we are really proud to be born in a country like India, but the great people like Shushruta and the Charaka, they remained. And the Shushruta Samhita and the Charak Samhita, none of us have read actually, but definitely they are the fountains of the knowledge in the areas and the worlds of medicine and surgery. Thank you very much, Madam. May I call upon our next speaker, R.K. Modi Saab, to talk on a very interesting topic, and that is on Hinduism. Modi Saab.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Thank you, Sengupta ji, to give me opportunity to talk on a subject in Suno, that is Hinduism. Hinduism, which is also known as Sanatan Dharma, is said to be the oldest religion in the world. It is also called Vedic Sanatan Varnasam Dharma. Its origin is said to be thousands of years old. It is based on the Vedas. That is why it is called the Vedic religion. Who is the founder of this religion? It is still controversial. Scholars consider it to be a mixture of the culture and tradition of India. Hinduism is the third largest religion and followed in India, Nepal, Mauritius, and Indonesia. Hinduism is not only a religion, but also tells to live life on the pattern of humanity and unity. In Hinduism, first of all, 4 Vedas, Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, and Atharvaved were composed, followed by Upanishads. New gods and goddesses were accepted in Hinduism, and modern Hinduism was born. There are 4 main sects of Hinduism, that is Smarth, those who consider different forms of God as one. Shakt, those who believe in the goddess. Shaivite, those who believe in Lord Shiva. Vaishnavas, those who believe in Lord Vishnu. There used to be conflict between these sects during the ancient and medieval times. The sages of medieval period settled their differences. There are some principles of Hinduism, which are: God is considered to be one who can have many names. The Brahm element is present in the whole world. Inspiration comes from God and one should love Him. Women should be respected. Be charitable. Don't hurt others. To protect Dharma, God repeatedly incarnates on this earth. The soul is other, that is immortal. People of all religions should be respected. Sattvic food is considered good. Gayatri mantra is the best. According to Hindu religion, soul resides in every living being. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it has been told that the soul is neither born nor dies at any time. It is not going to happen again and again. It is birthless, persistent, and eternal. Even when the body dies, it does not die. If we look about Hindu religion texts, then they are divided into two parts, Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is considered to be the greatest text and more valid than Smriti, in which no change can be made. Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, Arthved, and Upanishads all come under Shruti. Among the Shruti texts are Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Puran, Dharma Shastra, etc. Different types of gods and goddesses are believed in Hinduism. It believes in idol worship. There are many pilgrimage sites in Hinduism. Adi Guru Shankaracharya had established 4 peeths or dhams, which are Badrinath, Rameshwaram, Puri Jagannath, and Dwarka Peeth. There are 4 varnas of Hinduism: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Due to these various characteristics, Hinduism is considered to be the best. Festivals and traditions in Hinduism actually give a message of unity, joy, and harmony. Hinduism has its own special place in India and abroad. Thank you.
Modi Sahab, thank you very much for giving the, the entire the concept, the contour, the scriptures, and the ideals and the ideologies of the Hinduism in such a brief period of 4 minutes, which is impossible to give actually. But you spoke extremely well.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure that those people are more interested, they will go deeper into the concept which you talked about. Now, let me give an idea that the type of the depth the Hinduism had. I'll just give an idea. According to the ancient thought, even the prevailing thought I'm talking about, it takes roughly 12 years to master a Veda. So we are talking about 4 Vedas. I'm talking about only one particular Veda, that it takes approximately 12 years to master a Veda. That means if you spend the entire lifetime, possibly will not be able to master all the 4 Vedas. That's the type of the depth the Indian, I mean to say, the Hinduism has got. And thank you, Modi ji. Thank you, Modi ji, for bringing out the facts and throwing a light on the deeper aspect of Hinduism. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
May I request our next speaker, the Sir Hamare Ramani Iyer sir, who will speak on one of the offshoots of the Indian religion, which Modi sahab just now talked, and that is on the Indian festival, the diverse Indian festivals. Ramani Iyer sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sengupta. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, friends.
A bit echo is coming.
I don't know how to control that because I'm talking only on my headphone. All the others are switched off. Good evening, friends.
Can you tune down the volume?
1 minute, let me try.
Or you can take away the headphones. Headphone may not be needed.
Is it okay? No, without. Is it okay? Is it better now? I have reduced my incoming volume.
No, still there is a little bit of echo.
Hello.
There is an echo, sir. When you speak, there is an echo.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. I can directly talk without this. 1 minute, sir. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's much better, 100% better, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Is it better now, sir?
Yeah, it's 100% better. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I have removed my headphone. Thank you, friends. Good evening. I am going to talk on the theme Indian culture and heritage, and the sub-theme is festivals of India. It is said that the greatness of a culture can be found in its festivals. This saying has become true in India, which is a land of festivals, or utsavs as we call it. And utsav is actually a Sanskrit word with a combination of two words, ut, which means removal, and sav, which means worldly sorrows or grief. So signifying utsav is a festival, a celebration, or any joyous occasion. The word Mahotsav is used to indicate a grand or a mammoth festival. As per tradition, most of our festivals are marked by prayer, feast, dance, music, feeding of the poor, distribution of sweets, etc. There are some festivals which are preceded intense fasting, prayer, meditation. As examples are Lent before Easter, the holy month of Ramadan before the Eid festival, and Ashadi Ekadasi. Festivals bring bonding, love, cross-cultural exchange, and happiness among people. Among the traditional festivals, some are religious, some are based on the seasons and seasons of the year, while some are based on personal relationships. Among the religious festivals, which are celebrated by various communities, they include Diwali, Dashra, Eid ul Fitr, Eid ul Zuha, Christmas, Easter, Guru Purab, Ganesh Chaturthi, Durga Puja, Ratha Jatra, etc., which are accompanied by religious rituals of one kind or the other. These traditional festivals have two aspects. One is worship, which is performed according to specific religious norms. Another is the composite culture, as the members of any community can participate and celebrate these religious festivals. Thus, our festivals represent unity and encourage social bonding and harmony. And there are seasonal festivals. Many festivals in India are linked with the seasons of the year. For instance, India's greatest culture is agriculture, and many festivals are linked with the harvesting season. In Punjab, the Lori festival indicates the harvesting of the winter crop. Pongal, Sankrant, Bihu, and Onam celebrations mark the harvesting of paddy crops. Similarly, Holi festival reminds us of the famous line, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? And the Baisakhi festival marks the harvesting of new Rabi crops. Thus, these festivals symbolize the arrival of joy and wealth to farmers' lives. Since cattle is an essential partner in agriculture, cattle fairs are organized as part of some of the festivals. The Pushkar cattle fair in Rajasthan and the Sonpur cattle fair in Bihar are held preceding the Kartik Purnima festival, while the Nagaur cattle festival fair in Rajasthan is held immediately after the month of Paush. The Jallikattu sporting event in Tamil Nadu is held during the Pongal festival. Again, we have a few festivals which are based on individual relationships. For instance, Raksha Bandhan, Baifota, Bhaiya Dooj, and Kartigay are based on brother-sister relationship. And we have the famous Jamai Shashti, which is a festival to meet and greet the sons-in-law of the families. Now, we also have the Guru Purnima festival, which is meant to honor the preceptor, which is based on the relationship between the teacher and the taught, the Guru and the Shishya. In addition, from time immemorial, there have been many festivals, literary festivals and festivals based on performing arts like dance, drama, and music. The national level festivals like Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, Republic Day, and Independence Day are of recent origin, which nurture the spirit of togetherness, patriotism, and nationalism. The nation is currently celebrating the Amrit Mahotsav of our Independence Day. Apart from facilitating family bonding and expressing gratitude to the Almighty, festivals like Holi, Diwali, and Dasara attract international tourists and boost our economy. Major festivals like Ganesh Festival, Durga Puja, and Dasara promote rural craftsmanship and provide livelihood to many artisans and workers. Every month, there will be at least one festival in India, and each festival has its own history, legend, and significance, which could form the theme of several weeks of Sabke Suno program. Today, I will briefly mention the significance of Ratha Jatra and then conclude my speech. Although the Puri Jagannath festival is world famous, the car festival is a regular feature in many temples in the southern parts of India. Ratha Jatra typically refers to a procession or a journey of deities in a chariot accompanied by the public. In earlier days, as mentioned by Mr. Modi, the Varnashrama Dharma was being strictly followed, and the then prevalent caste system did not permit certain sections of the society to enter the temples for worship. So, periodically, the deities were brought out of the temple in a procession through the streets, either on chariots or palanquins, so that members of all castes could worship the deities. In modern days, the Corf festivals signify large-scale public participation in the religious events. The ISKCON popularized the Corf festival in countries outside India. Many of you may not be aware that the Corf festival is a daily event during the annual festival at the Catholic shrine of Our Lady of Health at Velankanni in Tamil Nadu. Festivals are an expressive way to celebrate the glorious heritage, culture, and tradition of a country. The world without festivals will just become a jungle where we will be leading a monotonous life. The variety of festivals of India truly represent the cultural and national identity of our country. Let us look forward to the festivals of Ultarath, Bakrid, and Ashadi Ekadasi, which are coming up in the next few days. Thank you very much.
It's a great exposition of the diverse culture and the related festivals there too. Really, India is a country of festivals, and as rightly told, even a day doesn't pass, forget about a month, even a day doesn't pass when we don't think about a festival, we don't plan about a festival, we don't talk about a festival. India is really a country of festivals, and that's the greatness of this particular country, that we celebrate the festivals of the different castes, of different regions, different religions, different sects and different subsects, and all of us get together and enjoy. So actually the festival gives us the time to unite. You know, that's probably one of the greatest things with the India culture lies, that the festivals is a great time for the unity, despite the fact that there are a lot of differences which are happening today, but the festivals give us a real time to unite. Thank you very much, Ramanayar sir, to give an exposition to the various festivals of India.
Thank you, Dr. Sangupta. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next was my talk. My topic was to talk on Indian education, but for the sequencing of the, I would say, what do you call, anchoring, I thought I will speak last. So may I call upon the next speaker, Sapna Murji madam, to please talk on the topic of one of the very important thing, the part of the Indian culture, and that is the guest is God. Sapna Murji madam. Sapna madam, yeah, please. We are not able to hear you. We are not able to hear you, madam. Mr. Romerji,
sir, am I audible?
Now
Hello?
you're audible. Now you're audible, madam.
Okay. I had some problem with the headphone.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of Sabke Suno. Good evening, friends. I would like to share my thoughts on one of our culture, guest is God. In olden days, There were no fast modes of communication. There were no ways a person could communicate his arrival. So he used to pay visit without any information, and therefore, in course of time, guest used to be called Atithi, one who does not have fixed time of arrival. Atithi Devo Bhava means to assume or understand a guest as God. In ancient culture, hospitality involved welcoming the stranger and offering him food, shelter, and safety. In India, a guest is considered as equal to God. So, welcoming guest is no less than an event. The traditional practice of welcoming a guest is based on the dictum given in Taittiriya Upanishad. The 5 steps or rituals to be observed when receiving guests are mentioned as follows. First, fragrance, dhupa. While receiving guests, the room must have pleasant fragrance because this is the first thing that attracts or detracts guests from their visit. A pleasant fragrance will put a guest in good humor. Lamp, deeper. Prior to the electrification of India, a lamp was placed between the host and guest so that the expression and body language would remain clearly visible to each other. This helped removing all barriers between the host and the guest. Third, eatables or naivedya. Fruits and sweets made of milk were offered to welcome guests. Fourth, tilak, rice grains or akshata. Tilak is considered as a symbol of unity and auspiciousness. A tilak or vermilion, sandal or sandal paste along with some rice grains is put on the forehead. This is the highest form of welcome in Hindu culture. Fifth, flower or pushpa. A flower not only symbolizes freshness, but is also a great gesture of goodwill. It symbolizes the sweet and enduring memories of the visit between the host and the guest that stay with them for several days. One finds these and other forms of welcoming guests mentioned in Indian religious books such as Mahabharata and Ramayana and many Smritis. The important thing to note is that the tradition has continued to exist, though some forms and terms may have changed today. Indians have a unique tradition of hospitality inborn in them, and they extend it to the guest when they call on us. Atithi Devo Bhava. This is the phrase used for campaign. This is a phrase used for a campaign launched by Tourism Ministry of India to highlight the rich culture of India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sapna madam. If some five-star hotel people are sitting over here, they would have understood that the what the culture they follow for the purpose of the receiving the guest emanated from the ancient India. All the things which you talked about, the fragrance, the light, the tilaka, and so on, food, etc., all actually are present in the five-star hotel culture today. Thank you very much for bringing out the very important concept of Atithi Devo Bhava. And Atithi Deva Bhava remains a fundamental strength of the Indian culture. Whoever comes to our house, we treat him or us as a guest, and all these offshoots which we see in the temples today, the langars of the Sikhism today, etc., they're offshoot of this particular philosophy called Atithi Deva Bhava. May I request? Thank you very much. May I request the next speaker, Dr. V.N. Vishwanathan to please speak on Adi Shankara, please.
Hello.
Wish.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sengupta. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and fantastic previous speakers who have been, who have described various aspects of Indian culture and heritage. Today, this evening, I'm going to talk about Adi Shankara very briefly. His work, he and his work occupy a very unique place in Indian, or rather the theology that ever to come out of this continent. And he's a well-known synthesizer of Advaita school of philosophy. Now, I'm going to give a narrative that is more commonly accepted, though it is not the only one. So this Adi Shankara is born in something like 700 Christian era, and he lived only for 32 years. But during that time, he accomplished a tremendous lot. As a synthesizer of Advaita philosophy, he has written some 300 works. And the more well-known are the Bhashyas, the commentaries on Gita, Brahma Sutras, Vedas, and principal Upanishads, and various poetic works such as Bhajagovindam, Nirvana Satakam, and so on and so forth. So as a boy, he exhibited brilliance and a desire to quit the world samsara by taking sannyasa, and for this purpose he asked his mother, who was surviving after his father passed away very young, and once apparently when he was taking a bath in the river with his mother at the bank, a crocodile caught him, and at that time, he pressures his mother to agree for him to take sannyasa, and she reluctantly agrees, and somehow the crocodile miraculously disappears. He comes out, and then he makes a promise to his mother that before she passes away, he will come and see her, but he has to do his life's work. So he has to take leave. So the mother gives leave to him, and he travels the length and breadth of the country, all four corners, by foot. And he establishes 4 pitas in 4 different parts of the country. So his guru is Gaudapada, I believe, and he finds his guru as he left his home and travels towards north. And the most important thing is after he leaves his guru, after he completes the mastery of all the Vedas and everything, he engages various philosophers, various people representing different religious sects and schools into arguments and discussions. Perhaps more correctly, explorations. And he convinces all of them that the Advaita is the correct path to realize oneself. And they're all, the word conversion is not right, but they see the correctness of what he's saying. And at that time, Karmakanda was very much dominating. See, when any revolutionary religious teacher comes out, at that time, it was a time when there is a lot of chaos, there are a lot of conflict, and people are very confused about what is the right path to take. So the strongest opponent, rather, and I don't want to call it opponent, the strongest differing view came from somebody called Mandana Mishra in present-day Gujarat, who believed in Karmakanda. That is, Shankara establishes that jnana is superior to karma, and true performance of karma, is possible only when you perceive the truth. So that is his point. And this Mandana Mishra accepts Advaita as the ultimate philosophy, that is the school of thought. So after a lot of Mimamsa. So previously, Mandana Mishra believed in Purva Mimamsa, and after this discussion with Shankara, he understands the importance of Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta. Story has it that his wife later joins in the discussion, and she does not accept the defeat of her husband, and Shankara had to argue with her and also win her over. That's a different story. So then Mandana Mishra was given the title of
Sureshwaracharya, and he with him, he establishes a pita, and it is called as Paschimamnaya Sri Sharada Peetham. It is located in Dwarka, Jamnagar, Gujarat. And so then he makes Sureshwaracharya, who is Madana Mishra, as the first guru in the Guru Parampara of that particular Peetham. And the other 4 Peethams are based on, other 3 Peethams are given by, or rather the Acharyas for those are his students. And one is Padmapada, who was the first head of the Govardhana Peetham, and the other is Swarupananda, sorry, not, it is Totakacharya, that is another student, and in south, it is Swami Hastamalaka, who is another of his students. So all these people, whom, let us say, Shankara groomed, to use present-day language, are independently realized souls. Some of the people think that Adi Shankara, did not actually invent Advaita. There is nothing to invent. It is a matter of realization. People don't understand that there is nothing to discover or invent the non-dual or Advaita. It is an existential reality. Now, coming to that, I just want to point out a couple of things of what he has said that is more important for us to understand. And one is, among the 300 works, a famous one from Viveka Chudamani is Brahma Satyam Jagat Midya Jivo Brahma Iva Naparaha. That is, what it means is Brahman alone is truth, the real. The whole world is an illusion. And the existential reality, which is Jiva or Atman, and Brahmaiva Naparaha, that is the universal reality and the existential reality are not different. They are one and the same. So I won't discuss this, but I'm just presenting it in front of you. And from Bhajagovindam, I just want to read one particular poem and discuss this a little bit, its implication, because that is the essence of, I think that carries the essence of what Adi Shankara was trying to educate people about. And that is Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivan Mukti. So what actually it means is Satsang means good company. A good company leads to detachment. Satsangatve Nissangatvam. So it is very, if you are on the spiritual path, it is most important that you get into good company. And by good company, it is not, what is meant is those who seek the truth, not those who seek pleasure. Then Nissangatve Nirmohatvam. And what it means is detachment naturally leads to the dropping of desire. Nirmohatvam. Moha means, you can say broadly, desire. So Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, dropping of desire leads to quietness, or you can say Shanti, Nischalatvam. And Nischalatatve Jivan Mukti. So that is that naturally leads to liberation. So that's what actually it means. So you will see that, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, maybe I have one more minute to go here, but I'll just briefly say at this point that Shankara's philosophy deals with both two levels, relative and absolute levels, and Jivan Mukti, what he talked about, it is at the absolute level. And it would be a great pleasure to go over the details of Advaita at a different time with you. But at this time, because of time limitation, I'm going to stop at this point. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Vish, for that giving an insight. I can only say a little bit of insight into the great life of Adi Shankara, who lived only for a period of 32 years on order. But he probably left a legacy. Probably he left a school of thought, which is still today probably one of the most powerful thoughts in the human existence, of all isms and all religions and all types of theist thoughts actually. So I'm grateful to you that you could bring out the the essence of the teachings of Adi Shankara. That was most important, possibly, because many of us may be wanting to know more about it, and possibly they can read the different treatises which are written about Adi Shankaracharya. Thank you, Vish, for talking about it. And the last talk is today by me, a little bit about the people know about it, a little bit about the ancient Indian education system. I thought that we also should know a little bit about it. Everybody talks about the modern education system, and the father of the modern education system, people know about him. He's a very famous man called Lord Macaulay. Lord Macaulay, in the 19th century, he created the so-called the British education system, which we still follow. But if you go into the roots of the Indian education system thousands of years before, you will see that that is much richer than the current education system. And if you look at the latest intervention in the modern education system, that is the National Education Policy 2020. And if you go back and if you look at the ancient education system, you'll find a lot of similarities between them. When we talk about an education system, there is a informal education system and there is a formal education system. And the ancient education system talked both about that. They talked about that there is an informal education system in the homes, there is an informal education system at the temples, there is an informal education system at the houses of the gurus, and so on and so forth. That was an informal education system that existed. At the same time, there was a very famous, famous formal education system. And the formal education system used to be given either in the tolls or chatuspadis. People have heard about them. But the most important part, apart from the tolls and chatuspadis, was what is called a gurukuls, which is something like an extended university concept, actually, where the shishyas or the students used to go to the houses or the ashrams of the teachers, and they used to stay there for years together. And they used to learn the various types of a thing. That used to be the Gurukul. Now, if you look at the modern education system, we talk about that the modern education system started at the age of 3, but the ancient education system started at the age of 5, and that is what is used to call the Vidya Rambam. And the Vidya Rambam used to start with the Saraswati chanting and also writing the first few syllabi of the concerned language, and so on and so forth. And that's what is happening even today. The Vidya Ramba Pratha, the Vidyaramba culture, the Vidyaramba thing is still happening today according to the modern education system today. Now, from the 5 years when a child enters into the Gurukul, normally they used to graduate at the age of 19 or 20. That was the time. That means I'm talking about 15 years they used to spend in the Gurukuls. That used to be the time when they used to stay in the Gurukul. The same thing what happens today, that the people they spend the time in the school is from the 3 years to 18 years, that is the 15 years. So what we talk about the modern education system, that the school education is for a period of 15 years and you graduate, that means you're past the 12th standard. The same used to happen in the case of a Gurukul, that the Gurukul people used to join at the age of 5 and normally used to graduate at the age of 19 and 20. That means they used to spend approximately 15 years. And during that 15 years, once again, they used to learn 2 different things. One was a specific skill, one was a life skill. The same thing which we talk about in the modern education. And ancient what you call literature, whether we talk about the Vedas, whether we talk about Upanishads, whether we talk about Brahma Sutras, whether we talk about Brahma Sutras, and there are 64 skills have been defined in the ancient literature. 64. The 64 skills include sword fighting, sweeping on the roads, the dancing, the music. There are different types of the skills. So the 64 skills, and the students used to be allotted 4 to 5 of the skills. That means during the period of 15 years, they are supposed to learn the 4 to 5 of the skills of the 64 skills. That is the specific skills they used to learn. Apart from the specific skill, they used to also learn the life skills, which we talk about today, the soft skills, the same thing, life skill, ability to work in a team. So they used to stay in a team, ability to communicate with each other, ability to sleep with each other, stay with each other, cook the foods for the others, and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the team spirit. That is what we talk about, the life skill, the facing the life realities. That used to be taught also in the Gurukul. Therefore, by the time the students used to graduate from the Gurukul system, in the ancient education system, they used to have a specific 4 to 5 skills, whatever according to their choice, either a music or a dance or a sword or whatever it is, or a language, etc., etc. And one Veda they were supposed to learn. As I told you earlier, that it used to take roughly 12 years to learn a Veda. we are talking about a 15 years lifetime. So a student was expected to learn at least one of the 4 Vedas. So one of the 4 Vedas, 4 to 5 skill, and the life skill, that used to be the qualification, that used to be the competencies at the end of the school. So that's it. That's you look at the, that means when the students used to graduate from the school at the age of 19 and 20, they're very comfortable to face the realities of life. So that shows the greatness of the ancient education system. Now, there was always a school of thought, there was always a school of thought that the women were not given, even though they are not a part of the ancient education system, or they were not given the equal right in the education system. Probably this is a myth, because if you really look into the Indian education system, there was a, I don't say that all girls used to go for education, but the girls who were wanted to go for education, they were all allowed to go for the education. And again, the girls, there were 2 types of the girls. Let me read the Sanskrit name. Sanskrit name is Sadhyovadas, and Sadhyovadas were the ladies who used to take an education up to the time of the marriage. And second was Brahma Mantir Nadinis. That means these were the ladies who used to, who did not marry, and they could go for education for umpty number of years. So ladies were divided into 2 categories: the ladies who can go up to education only up to the time of the marriage, and the ladies who chose not to marry, and they could learn the Vedas and the Super Vedas, etc., up to the time they died. And if you look at some of the greatest Indian scholars, because people today talked about only the male scholars, people talked about Aryabhatta, people talk about Charaka, people talked about Sushruta. So people talked about the male Adi Shankara, people talked about the male scholar, but there were people forgot that there are many. There are umpteen number of women scholars also in India. People must have heard the name. I'm just quoting some of the names: Apala, Indrani, Ghosha, Gargi, Maitreyi. There are so many others actually. The Indian women scholars are there actually. So Indian education system in the past not only talked about the informal education system, the formal education system, the skill-oriented education system, but even that focus on the women education also, and produce a large number of the women scholars. Now, once the schools have graduated from the school, what the students need to do? And therefore, as today we see the undergraduate courses, the postgraduate courses, we also had the great universities in India. In those days, I'm talking about a 5,000 year BC. I'm talking about 4,000 year BC. Before also, India had a great universities, and probably the biggest university of the standard of the Cambridge University, Oxford University, the Harvard University. They are much better universities than them, because all these universities had a minimum strength of about 10,000 to 12,000. That's a minimum strength, but the figures, I mean, it's a doubtful sometimes, because a lot of researchers are giving different figures. But according to our studies, that show that there is about 10,000 to 12,000 in all these universities. And in the university, there are 2 schools of thought. You could choose either to go into Hinduism school of thought, or you can go into the Buddhism school of thought. If you are going into the Hinduism school of thought, you used to learn, the students would learn in Sanskrit. And if you are going to the Buddhism school of thought, then people used to learn in the Pali. So you look at the diversity in India at that time, that the university, as we talk about today, that the entire modern education system, English education, at that particular point in time, there were 2 languages which are popular. One was a Sanskrit, one was a Pali, and the students had a choice that if you want to go for a Sanskrit, you can go for a Sanskrit. You want to go for a Pali, you can go for a Pali. And there are many Indian universities. There are about 9 to 10 Indian universities, but 4 were, I must mention the 4 names, because the 4 are the most important universities. One is popularly called Nalanda. Nalanda was known for its logic. They were all disciplines, but some disciplines were very, very important. They were known actually. They are known. Nalanda was known for logic. Takshila was known for a medical school. Vallabh, which was known for law, medicine, and also for its economics. And finally, the Vikramshila, which was known for Buddhism, more for Tantric Buddhism. So if we're talking about 4 great universities, people only talk about Nalanda, but I am talking about 4 universities: Nalanda, Takshila, Vallabh, and Vikramshila. These are the 4, I mean, say great higher institutions of learning. What we talk about today, HEI, higher education institutions of learning. These were the 4 higher education institutions of learning. To sum up, if you look at this education system, to sum up, you will see that whatever is given in the modern education today, probably we were given much better in the ancient education system. And therefore, Indians, we must be proud that about 5000 BC also, we had an education system which is comparable to the modern education system. Thank you very much. I don't want to go beyond this education system. The people who are more interested, they can go and study about the ancient education system. With this, friends, we come to the end of this particular episode of the Sabki Suno program. It was a fascinating journey of the 2 series of the fascinating journey, where we tried to talk about, where we tried to look into some of the important aspects of the Indian culture and heritage. But we can't discuss Indian culture and heritage within a period of 2 hours. It is just impossible because it is too big a subject, it's too deep a subject. It's not only too big a subject in terms of width, it is too big a subject in terms of depth also. But we are sure we have to try to do something, some insight into the whole subject, and the people and the members who are more interested, they may possibly go more deeper into it. One last what you call sequel we'll have, but the sequel will be a little bit deviation from the Indian culture and heritage. We will look at the Indian saints. You know, India has produced a large number of saints, like Adi Shankara. India has produced a large number of saints. There were saints in the medieval India. There are saints in the middle India. There are saints of the modern India. Let's say Swami Vivekananda was a saint. Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa was a saint. Isharavinda was a saint. So there are several saints or semi-saints India has produced. So we will try to look into the lives of Indian saints, because that's also very important. Sant Kabir was a saint. So we must know the lives of the saints also. So we will try to have a sequel for this thing. Thank you for the patient hearing. With this, we come to the end of this particular program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much, sir. Very nice.
Sir, it was
Also,
very
thank you very much.
interesting.